Goober, play. So today is a very interesting day because this is the first real celebrity death that has like hit me hard and like really hit home with me. Today, comedian Charlie Murphy passed away at the age of 57 from leukemia, of all things. And his death has like ignited this like conversation, all these thoughts that I've sort of thought of, I guess, of what role comics and stand-up comics sort of play in today's society, as well as dying at such a young age and living such a full and healthy life. So in today's vlog, I'm going to do my best to sort of cover both of those things in the most compact and informative way possible while expressing my own viewpoints. Here we go. So storytelling has always been an integral part of the human experience, really. We've been telling stories and myths and legends for as long as anyone can remember. And as you sort of look at what has happened in history, the role of the storyteller has sort of begun to change. Way back in the day, it was like the elders and the shamans and the leaders of the tribe or the clan or the group or whatever, you know, they just sat around a fire and like sat and shared stories and spit wisdom and just like expressed themselves in a very creative way. And that role has sort of changed and evolved over time. And today, I would argue that that storyteller role, that meeting up together to hear a story, has gone from the elders and wise men to the stand-up comics of today. In both scenarios, in the shaman storyteller and the comic storyteller, they're both in social settings. They both use stories to entertain and educate, and more often than not, both of them send a message, whether it be about how the moon works and how tides work and how animals migrate or whatever, to like race in America and gender issues and, you know, sexuality and, you know, whatever else comics talk about. Like it's how the roles have changed and evolved. And so I saw a tweet today that sort of brought that idea up. One of my buddies from high school retweeted a video of Charlie Murphy's bit from Dave Chappelle's show and said, R.I.P. to the greatest storyteller of our time. And I thought that was really interesting because when we hear the word storyteller, the association goes to some guy in a library surrounded by a bunch of books, you know, telling these stories of fantasy and wild and crazy things. But in reality, that role has evolved to the stand-up comic because they just present it in a humorous way, or there's a punchline, or there's something else to it. And maybe I'm missing a bunch of the nuances here, but how Charlie Murphy's stories, true Hollywood stories rather, became so iconic is because they did seem outlandish and they did seem kind of crazy, and they were meant to like sort of entertain and humor us and let us escape. You know, that's why any guy who's seen the Dave Chappelle show knows the Rick James skit by heart, knows the Prince story of how Prince beat Charlie Murphy in a game of basketball. Like, it's just insane how these stories have so much power and they just stick with us in our mind for so long. You know, Charlie Murphy, I feel, will be regarded as one of the most iconic comedic storytellers of all time. There's going to be an entire generation of people who remember Charlie Murphy's true Hollywood stories. Like, they'll remember the Dave Chappelle acting and how he brought his, like, little bit to it. But at its core, like, the stories that Charlie Murphy tells are very much like the myths and fables of olden times that they would tell around the fire or in the temple or whatever, that they were used to entertain and educate. And Charlie Murphy just says, hey, like, here's some crazy outlandish thing that's happened in my life. Let me share it with you in a way that I think is valuable and entertaining and really funny. And so, you know, rest in peace, Charlie Murphy. Awesome guy. I love his content. I've watched some of his stand-up. I've seen some of his shows, a couple of his interviews. Really nice guy. Really great, awesome humor. He's going to be missed. And so that sort of brings me up to another point. Charlie Murphy died at 57 years old, which in sort of the grand scheme of things is really, 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 really young. Like, the dude had at least like 30 years of good comedy and good entertainment value that he could bring to people. And it's really sad and really unfortunate that he had to die at such a young age. One thing that I think we can sort of learn from the Charlie Murphy experience is, and I think with a lot of sort of people who die at a young age, is that you need to live life to its fullest as much as possible. And I know this is like a walking cliche that everyone seems to say, but I believe that it's inherently true. Like, you can look at Charlie Murphy's career and you can realize that, like, hey man, like, he did what he loved to do, which was to make people laugh and to entertain and to share these stories with people. And he was able to follow his passions and do what he wanted to do, and he was able to find a way to make a living from it. And I think that's a really noble thing to do. And I think it's something that a lot of people, like, you know, don't necessarily miss out on, but it's something they don't necessarily pay attention to. Just been a really weird day, just been a really weird week. I'm looking forward to hearing back from some of my internships, and fingers crossed that happens. But I've also got some offers out in DC, and I might be going to Australia and New Zealand, like I mentioned last time. Haven't made a final decision there. Still waiting on some things, but I'm getting to it. And that's all I got for you guys this week. That's it for today's vlog, guys. Thanks again for watching. Like and subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, @JEKleckner. Comment question of the day: which musical artist is your guilty pleasure? I, for one, really enjoy Sia, like an unhealthy amount of Sia. Comment below. Let me know what you think. And I'll talk to you guys on Monday. Look forward to it.